Hello, welcome to another episode of I Mustache You Something. We had a greatest episode of all time, November 17th last week. Today is November 20th, and we're recording for posting on November 24th. So if some like catastrophe or something happens this weekend, there's a reason we're not talking about it.
Three Eye
We
Atlas.
haven't recorded yet. We're going back in time. Um, so, any quick reflections on last time? I thought that was like a phenomenal episode, with the exception of like me playing Angry Birds on my phone for like the middle part where I lost interest because you guys were bickering. But then it got interesting.
I repented.
You were no, you didn't.
Go in peace, my child.
No, no,
Adja
no.
Epata Diasta
Can I
Dole.
tell them the truth? Can I tell them what I found out afterwards?
Sure.
So
Sharif, give him hint.
apparently it wasn't like one girl and one specific like pastoral situation.
Of
He
course
apparently
not.
told an entire group of teenage girls, "Don't worry about it, just take communion."
Of course. Of course. Of course.
I was like, oh my God, it's so much worse.
I'm
So
not
yeah,
shocked.
we're picking up where we left off last week, where Mitch was vindicated. He started three against one as the one, and ended up three against one as one of the three, and converted Ralph and I to his position that we like. I never thought like me and Ralph would be the two guys that'd be like, no, 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 no. Time out. We like rules. We like rules. So this week, I mustache you something, and I want you guys to reflect for a few seconds. And whoever's ready can just start. The question I have for you is, how do you divide the world? And there's no way for us to get out of an us and them mentality, right? Where there's always going to be, the group that I identify with and the group that I don't identify with. And sometimes that's cultural, sometimes it's religious, sometimes it's based on nationality, sometimes it's based on age. And I have my own us and them, like this is my group, that's the other group. And it's none of those things. And I won't spoil the surprise. I'll go last. And Cherif posted this question, how to bridge gaps. And I will submit that the gap that I have between where I am and where these others are, right? So my us are people that I get along really well with, and the them that I don't. I would love for that gap to be bridged in some way, and I'd love for you to help me with that. But the question is, who's your us and who's your them? And we can go in any order. You guys take your time. I'll sip my spindrift. Oh, do you think we'll get sponsorship? Like, you
Oh,
think like
dude, if we
somebody
get
from
above
Spindrift?
200 views, then yeah, for sure.
I don't even think we have 91 subscribers. We have one new subscriber. Um,
Yes. Whoever that is, we love you.
it's Abuna Gregory from New York. He's like, "Oh, why aren't you doing the mustachio thing anymore?" I'm like, "I am." And he
Yeah.
goes, "Why aren't you posting on Facebook?" I was like, "Because I hate Facebook." So he
Well,
subscribed.
like and subscribe. Right, we don't do it at the beginning. Like and subscribe.
Because we're not
Smash
corny.
that like button. Yeah, smash that like button.
We jump into the argument too quickly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We need
All
to
right.
do a little more.
So
Okay, go ahead.
who's gonna go first while I drink my Sprinthrift, lemon flavored, 3 calories and delicious.
Spindrift sucks. My wife likes it. I hate it. It's
Have you tried
so,
the lemon, the
yeah. It's
lime?
all garbage.
What
I
do you get?
like
Oh, you're
whatever
so
this is.
foo-foo. Is that Perrier?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's never mind.
All
Oh,
right,
let's
Mitch, why
quit
don't you go
talking
first?
about no, because mine is complicated and I don't
All right,
actually have a
Sharif.
good answer.
All right, Sharif, it's your idea. You go.
Sharif?
So I think I kind of divide the world into two big categories. People who want to have positive attitude, and people who are kind of loving their negativities.
Hmm. Okay.
And I see my job, my role whether at work, whether at church, is to bridge this gap or try to bridge this gap.
I'm assuming you're the positive attitude because I'm the negative attitude, and I'm also trying to bridge the gap. I'm trying to pe bring people to my side.
Well, no,
I just
you are
wish
not
people were more
negative.
negative. That's my goal.
You view some stuff as negative, but you want to improve. The others for me are the people who they never want to improve, or they hate improvement, or they think that whatever you do, we cannot improve. So you are not on the negative campus.
Actually, like spoiler alert, that is actually my us and them. So
Hmm.
my genuine us and them are people that self-reflect, and regardless of whether it's, themselves, their families, their communities, their faith, group, their church, their workplace, whatever it is, looking at it objectively and saying, hey, what can we do better? Or even subjectively, right? Say, I don't like this, or you don't like that, or this isn't working out. And then there's the others, right? And the others are like, well, we never really cared to begin with, and it seems to be working out okay. So why start caring now? Right? Like, what difference does it make if we try? What difference does it make if we
Mhm.
make an effort? What difference does it make if we're organized? What difference does it make if we do things better than we used to? Because, we're still here. We haven't got fired. We like haven't been excommunicated. Like the church is still full, right? Like we're not thinking about all the people that we've driven away with our madness, right? We just say, oh, well, communion was busy. Like, oh, okay, like communion's always busy because it's chaotic. Like it's not the Catholic Church where like it's like order, like even the same number of people taking the same number of rows for some reason in the Catholic Church always looks like less people every
Because
time.
I pray 10 liturgies on Sunday.
No, no, but like it's this. I'm talking about the
Even if it's the
same
same amount of
numbers,
people, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right?
organization versus chaos.
organization.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah. My
something
first
like
experience of communion, I was like, whoa, this is exciting,
I mean,
dynamic.
and you have to understand, Mitch, you came after the transition. It used to be more chaotic, right?
Yeah,
Like before you came, it wouldn't be row by row. It would just be like, yeah. Like,
okay,
like you would
Not
okay.
hear you,
smooth.
you'd hear Zoxa si kere, and then there's just sort of rumbling like the earthquake is coming. And I mean, it's much, much better. And yes, we still, have some chaos, but at least it's row by row chaos, and at least, that there's some
Yeah.
containment. So yeah, I mean, Sharif and I guess share the same us and them. Ralph or Mitch?
I don't know if that's just too hard of a question or I don't really I don't think of the world in those terms.
So you're
I
you're like
don't know.
you're like the one genuinely Christ-like person who sees
No,
everybody
I'm
as us.
definitely not. No, no. I mean, there's a U2 line that says there is no them, there's only us,
Right. And that's true.
and that's
As an
true. Right,
existential reality, that is true.
right,
But
right,
in
right.
terms of my own perspective, right, I can't say that I really act that way or believe that, right? I know it's true, but I don't feel that it's true.
Right. I think maybe because I have no feelings and I'm dead on the inside. So all I am is intellectual, So the mind, my mind just tells me that there is no, there is that, that false demarcation just really doesn't exist. Except maybe amongst, the purposefully stupid. Maybe that's the only other them I can think of. People who hold on to their stupidity, in the face of facts or evidence or reason, they just want to stay stupid. That's the only one I can think of. And I'm not. It's not the smart versus the stupid. It's the
Willfully
it's
ignorant.
those who have eyes, let them see, and those who have ears, let them hear. So those who are willing to hear and see versus those who aren't. I guess that's the only one I can think of. I don't think of in terms of, Christian versus non-Christian or, atheist versus believer or American versus immigrant or Democrat versus Republican. No, I don't really see it that way.
Sharif, are you hearing Ralph as that different from you and to me, it sounds
No,
similar.
it's a parallel thought process. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very similar.
Like Sharif said positive and negative, and I said, willing, like growth mindset versus, this is good enough. And you're saying willfully ignorant versus curious. But I think they're all part of that same,
Okay.
like, are you willing to question and interrogate reality to get at some sense of truth and get at some sense of progress? Or are you just kind of going, I don't know. Like what difference does
Yeah.
it make?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Mitch?
Like to add to Ralph's idea of the other group, when I talk about negativity or people with negative thoughts, I'm very focused on those who are like very attached to the past with quote unquote stupid nostalgia, and they don't want to change because they think we can never be as good as the past, whether the past is the fourth century, 15th century, 40 years
Dude, they
ago.
didn't have deodorant back then, man. They weren't that cool.
Actually,
They
like
didn't have a lot of things, but
it's not even
I'm
the
teasing.
the personal things. It's like the systemic things, like sewer systems,
Hot
like
showers weren't in
right,
existence 100 years ago. I mean,
like
we're
the average person right now lives better than Louis the 14th,
Yeah.
right?
the
Louis the 14th
poorest
was
person
like
in the United States lives better than Louis the 14th.
right, like it's like you don't understand like what squalor these people were living in.
Yeah, but there's something to the I agree. And before I give mine, I'll just say there's something to Dostoevsky's point that, or is it maybe it's not Dostoevsky, but whoever said if you if all the human had to do was lay in bed and eat peeled grapes, first thing they would do is tear it all apart so something interesting would happen.
Mm.
Like, so we live in absolute comfort and paradise, but I think that's like honestly a problem. Um, so that's another discussion. But so the us and them is interesting for me. Like growing up in the part of the country where they pull young men to go to the war for. Like of the in the country, the place I grew up was the people that go, you're military, you're military, you're military, that kind of thing. So the us versus them has been like indoctrinated from a very young age of who us is, who them is. And there's growth there and like expanding that. And then as like a non first, second, or third generation immigrant, us versus them is also like a thing that's talked about a lot. And then as a Christian and a Catholic, growing up in a church that was looked down upon as the them for majority of our existence in America on this continent, outside of the Spanish-owned areas of Florida, us being the them was a thing, right? That's the reason we have parochial schools. That's the reason the Catholic Church set up all these institutions because we were the them.
Hmm.
Um,
yeah.
so when I think about us versus them, if they do think about it, it's complex, right? What is America? What is Denver? What is St. Mark's? What is St. Francis Church? Um, and I hear you're kind of more of like we are like a global one people. I understand that. I just feel like it's a little Pollyannish, to be frank. Like I feel like you can only control what you control, and if everyone is in your in group, then do you even have an in group? Like in the world of the post Treaty of Westphalia, do you even is that even possible? We have borders, we have towns, we have culture that changes, and is it all homogenous or not? My answer to that is no, frankly.
It should not be.
And well, maybe, right? But based on your in group versus out group, how do you divide the world? That's I divide it by uh kind of like Mena talked about, like there's these like growing circles of like span of control. My family is how I divide the world of, are you part of my family, my extended family or not? Like Mena, I know really well, and I consider him part of my extended family. And I have other friends who I consider part of my extended family. Everyone else, I care, like I would like to care, but I don't have direct control, and I don't have the ability to like help or hurt them, like directly. So I divide the world by extended family, non-extended family. And those are the people that if I called them or if they called me and asked for action, that action would be taken. That's how I divide the world.
So you basically divide the world into the people who are relevant to you and the people who are irrelevant to you.
Yeah. And that's not, and that's, but that's, I'm practical. That's how I practically like,
No
I,
judgment. I'm just
yeah,
asking you.
no, for sure. Like I don't care, to be frank. Like I care is like morally, I should care more about the homeless person I walked by yesterday in Denver who was sitting in a wheelchair, clearly with diabetes with no feet, asking for money. I should care more about them. But I've got a brother who just lost a ton of money this year because the bean and corn crop was really good, but wasn't getting paid for it due to tariffs. So like I choose to put my energy in helping figure out how to like make that more efficient and my money and my time there versus someone who I don't like. I morally I know I should care about them, and the Saints would know I should care more, but I only have so much time, and so I put my effort and energy onto my us, and that's them, and that's all problem, but it's not a problem I can actually solve. So I choose to focus on the things I can solve.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like people at church that need help or I can help or have fun with or joke around with, like that's my us. Like if I know them all, that's my us. My them is ever expanding, right? My us is ever expanding, and my them is hopefully ever getting smaller, but it's one person at a time.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, the us and them that Ralph and Cherif and I reflected on is more of an ideological one, and yours is more of a practical one. But I don't think that, um, realistically speaking, the three of us will, you know, negate the practicality of that, right? And I think to a certain extent, our us can expand and contract on that practical level where, I'll give a shameless plug for our diocese charity, Canonian Ventures. So that um, experience of working with those business partners and working in those places in Egypt expands our us, right? And if you guys want to come and, we can visit and, see the projects and, see the great work that our business partners are doing with, with the money that we're all, donating for them, we get that connection. And now there's another new person that's part of that us, that is that practical extension of people that are relevant in my sphere. But um, it's never going to be the entire world from a practical standpoint, right? Like, even somebody with, billions of dollars isn't going to be able to, if they wanted to, even, which, a lot of people with billions of dollars don't want to. But even if they wanted to be able to expand that reach, that influence, that care, that love, on a practical level to everybody and making everybody us. So I
Well, I
think
mean,
that,
Jesus said, the poor you will always have with you, right? So, I mean, sort of like with the money situation, he was sort of like, be, and then somewhere else it says, charity begins at home. So, I mean, there is that, even in the Bible's, love thy neighbor and the neighbor is the guy, the Samaritan or something. It still has this sort of practicality to it that love begins within the four walls of your home, and then that implies well, is explicit that there's an outside of those four walls.
yeah.
So Mitch
Yeah.
Mitch might be onto
And I,
something.
and I, well, my concern with the greater outlook, so a tradition or a thing that's happened in the West over the past 20 years and ever growing and kind of falling apart now is we have this idea of like a global south, right? We're all going to do global warming's great, a fairly dangerous example of this, but like we're going to improve the world through this action. Well, can you take on, can you, that's a guarantee over promise under deliver. But if I
You're
can in
talking
my
about
own
Iraq
mind,
and Afghanistan, aren't you? That's what you're talking about, right?
no, no,
Okay.
well, we can talk about whatever, but like, I, my like general thought is if you care about everyone, you care about no one. And that's my like getting very practical. I think young men, especially, need to be told the people you need to take care of is your extended family. And then after that, if you're competent at that, then help others. But until you can actually deliver on what you're like in group that is your extended family, then you need to clean your bed or whatever, make your bed or whatever. Jordan Peterson, whatever says. But generally speaking, like I feel like this idea of like I'm gonna save the world is very exciting for folks, but they can't even like take care of their family. So we can't expect them to do that. It's like everything else starts small. You have to build it slow and then like, ever expand it out. And that's why old dudes in the like Midwest town, they help everybody, but they started by being a pillar of their family, then a pillar of their like neighborhood, and then a pillar of the community. But it took time.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you talk about practical help or physical help or financial help, yes, we have circles that we go up. But my concern is, or my point of view is, the homeless person in Denver who lost his feet, I can help him directly and powerfully through prayer. I'm not here saying that I'm praying
Yeah, no,
all the
I'm
time,
with you. I'm with you.
but my intention towards the others is different than the practical help they can offer, or my ability or capacity to deal with the others is the thing that what I'm talking about bridging gaps. I can be very frustrated when I talk to someone who is on the negative side or who is not willing to change or not willing to examine himself.
Give me a hard
Am
example.
I
Like,
able to even have a conversation with him?
yeah, okay, sure. Give me like what I'm maybe I'm misunderstanding you three. Like, give me a hard example of someone that is the archetype of the out group you guys are just talking about. 'Cause it's a little, to be honest with you, it's a little wishy-washy to me. And again, I'm an over practical guy, so like maybe I'm missing it. But like, give
Oh
me an
no,
example.
it's not wishy-washy. So
Yeah.
let's frame it this way, Mitch. Let's say you're part of an initiative, um, and it could be at work, it could be, at your kid's school, it could be in your town, it could be at church, it could be extended family, it could be community at any level. And everybody's going to have different opinions, right? Like it's not going to be sort of Mitch the monarch, dictating, and you have a staff.
It's a polis.
You
You have a
you have to
polis. Yeah.
be persuasive, right? You have to say,
Yeah.
hey, we should do this, we should do that. Um, and some people will say my two favorite things. This is the way that we've always done it, right? And the other one is, Sharif, what's the other one? Like, what's the other excuse people always give? This is the way that we've always done it,
If
and
it's working,
right, like,
don't try to fix it.
yeah, like, oh, don't be so, difficult. Don't, whatever. You just take it easy a little bit. And it's like, okay, but there's some tangible things that we could do to make this more organized. There's some tangible things that we could do so that instead of saying, oh, whatever, like that very practical approach that you're saying, we can have an absolutely more effective reach, right? The us that we're responsible for collectively, that now you're invested in, right? That now is part of your extended family, you cannot serve them properly because this person has now become an obstacle to progress.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a famous FANG company that talks about day one thinking versus day two thinking. And day one is constantly thinking like, how can we make this better? And like, what can we do? Like, let's think day one. This is the first day we're trying this. They've never done this before. What would we do if we never did this before? We're doing it for the first time today. That's day one thing. Day two thinking is, well, I've always kind of, I mean, it always, and it's kind of worked. And like, yeah. So like day two thinking is a mortal sin at this bang company. And so I think that's what you guys are getting at.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are stuck in day zero.
Or hasn't even launched yet.
We are not even thinking that we need to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And believe it or not,
How is this? How
many
is
companies, many institutions, many churches are stuck in day zero.
would you say that um the generational divide of where it works well enough, good enough for now, is causes attrition of the younger folks?
Hmm.
Well, believe it or not, if you're talking about the Coptic Church in the land of immigration, the newer generation are stuck in day zero. Some of them, a lot of them, or day minus one, maybe,
Like they want to go back to the old ways.
the very old ways.
When you say lands, I hope you're saying lands of immigration sarcastically. Are you saying it like because we've been in this country for 60 years? It's way
I've
past
been
the
there
lands
for,
of, okay, but these aren't the lands of immigration for the va for a bunch of us. This is
Oh,
our home. This is
it's still
America.
it's
Or
still
but
first generation.
the
First generation.
Coptic Church is
first,
still
second, huh?
60 years old in the
I
land.
don't like that. I don't like that lands of immigration garbage. I hate it actually.
Well,
When they refer to that, when the bishops or the pope, says, "Oh, the lands of immigration." I think
it's your favorite one, not mine.
that's they call it, that sort of false dichotomy among Christians who live in the United States, who can only. I'm just trying to make this conversation a little juicier. I mean, just
Yeah, yeah. Talk.
Christians who live in Christians who live in the United States or the West who are basically just the purse for the home church in Egypt is sort of like, that's repugnant. Like, give me a break.
It's not a purse. It's
Our wallet. What are we?
it's a gold mine.
Okay, good. Thank you. Even better.
Yeah,
That's what we are.
but wait, but I hear you, and I frankly that makes a lot of sense, and I think the Church of Rome has the same kind of problem. But I would say, I mean, if it's the Coptic Church, is anyone else allowed in?
I mean, that's
I'm
another
not a
sort of.
cop. I'm not a Coptic. I'm not Coptic. My
Wait,
wife
I
is
mean,
how are you not
100%, but
Coptic?
I'm not.
How are you
Huh?
not Coptic? You're Coptic.
It's a. Is it a religious form or is it a genetic thing?
No, it's a community of worship.
Hmm?
Nope.
But
Yeah,
I mean, the allegation is that we're like the Roman Catholic Church, we're
that's
universal. I mean, that's the
that's
allegation.
that's the
It's definitely not
that's
true
what the
in
want.
practice. It's definitely
That's
not
what
true in practice.
that's
You
why I
know,
love the term Church of Alexandria.
that's so to me, the Church of Alexandria, however, like that, whatever we wanted, like that's something that like in practice it's maybe the same. Like, but at the end of the day, like I was at St. Mark's once and a question came up. We watched a video about a priest. Remember the documentary? I forget the name. Very lovely documentary about documentary priest. And the question
Yeah.
came up, what is it like? Are you Coptic? What? And I was like, dude, I'm not. Like I said that. And then the guy who directed it, who again was very lovely, was like, I'm glad you said that. You're not. Okay, he's right. I'm not Coptic. I'm not ethnically Coptic.
Wait,
And
this is
I,
Andrew?
yeah,
I
have
don't
him
remember
on. We can
that.
talk. Oh yeah, I remember. Oh, well, I remember because
of course,
yeah,
you remember it because
yeah,
it
because
was
he,
it was a
I was
slap
a
in the
white guy in
face.
the middle of a seat, and I was like, "Am I part? Like, I'm not. Am I part of this or not?" And the answer was fairly clear. Like, yeah, you can be part of the church, but you're not part of us.
Huh.
Yeah,
I'll have
Yeah,
to call Andrew
that's
yeah, it's
and
fine.
follow up with
that's
him.
exactly what I'm referring to, that some of our younger generation in this very particular topic are stuck in day minus one.
Hmm.
Now we're past zero even. We're day minus one.
Yeah, he keeps
Yeah,
going back.
We keep
ethnic
going backwards.
pride, the ethnic pride, the glory of the past, sticking to stuff that are not very important, while we, like not we, some of the older generation like Mina and myself are thinking more widely. We are using more and more, or we would love to use more and more the term of Church of Alexandria. Mitch is a member of the Church of Alexandria by marriage, but he's not Coptic.
America, but not Coptic. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's and like like, and does it truly matter? Not really.
well, if you
But
are
I will
talking
tell you,
about
unless you're
us
going to
and
marry a
them,
bunch of us in, you're gonna struggle to like it's yeah, it's a cult. The cult. There's a like, what's the path forward? Is the path forward the past? The path forward something beautiful and new? And that's a great question. And how do you make more people in the us camp of Coptic Church of Alexandria or something else? Like it's a legitimate question
Hmm.
that I would love to be able to not just like I'm married, I'm here by marriage, but I'm here because I like belong. And I don't, if no one's ever been like you, other than that, like a couple other scenarios, but like generally, but this one, and again, I have no ill will like that, like frankly, um, I get it. Uh, but that's what
But
it's
Mitch,
small
if you
town is.
remember, like
It's
you and I bonded over that question, right?
yeah,
Like the first time you and I had a serious conversation was about this specific
yeah,
thing where I felt like you and I were more so part of the same church than homeboy over here who's
yeah,
like, militant, like super
yeah,
cop, like Chalcedon, like, forget those
right,
guys. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not why we're here. Like, we're here to worship. We're here to praise God. We're here to go on a spiritual journey together, something that we can't do on our own. And this is the faith community that I'm a part of. And it's not about excluding another group and like telling them that they're
yeah,
not as, Christian as we
cool,
are,
right.
right?
Yeah, and I'm bought like I've been thinking about this over our conversations. We talked a lot about this, and as like the Catholic versus Coptic thing, I've been fairly defensive of the Catholic Church because I do think we have a lot to offer. Um, but the bet like currently the best expression for what I want my kids to grow up in, frankly, is more aligned with the Coptic Church than it is with the Catholic for like high level reasons. Once you get on the nitty gritty stuff, like some of the like specific rules, and I wish we had like things I wish we had that the Catholic Church has. That sort of thing, like I feel like is a room for growth in the Coptic Church. But like high level, I still think the Coptic Church, based on like my ideal patriarchy being important, Coptic Church has that right, and I think everything stems from quality patriarchy. So, but yeah, man, like, how do we divide who's in and out? If you start getting too tight on from like not just like going like that's my practical way, but philosophically, if we get too tight of like you have to be of this blood type to be considered, well, that ends in dark places.
Well, I mean, it's like mistaking the Roman Catholic Church for Italians, but there are Roman Catholics who are Filipino, Roman Catholics who are Nigerian, Roman Catholics who are
Yeah,
Mexicans. So I
Egyptians.
Egyptians, yeah,
Egyptians.
sadly. So I think that there are Roman. So I think the problem is because we were sort of insulated under the sands of Egypt for so long that we had to, limit the Coptic Church and not expand it in the way Cherif said of the Church of Alexandria, which is a much more open and friendly, welcoming idea
It's
than
also more true.
yeah, it is also more true. So, but when we start
Historically,
thinking
traditionally,
Coptic,
and canonically.
yeah, so when we start thinking that Coptic is limited to some genetic pool, then we make a mockery of the creed where we stand there and say we believe in one holy Catholic and apostolic church because it is definitely not our church if it's limited to a bloodline that starts at the Nile. And every time I hear the creed, I think, do we really believe it, or are we Egyptian? And if we are Egyptian, then we're not members of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic
Right.
Church, which is
And
sad.
that's the biggest criticism, actually, Ralph. It's not the money bags, gold deposits, whatever it is that, like, listen, I'm happy to fund Egypt. Like, there's a lot of people in need,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, sure, fine. Like, we should care enough about our brothers and sisters in Egypt to support them financially. But this idea that, the more Egyptian you are, the more Christian you are, right? Like, let's put the word Coptic aside because maybe like you're more part of the Coptic Church the more Egyptian you are, fine, but like you're not more Christian, you're not a better uh person in standing as it relates to the Church of Alexandria. And that's the thing that's what really gets under my skin, that when you say lands of immigration, it's so self-referential to the
Yeah.
land of Egypt in an identity standpoint, right?
Yeah.
This third, fourth, fifth generation that is in a country that's not Egypt, and the great, 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 great grandfather was Egyptian, and then everybody else is like some other kind of,
Yeah.
non-Egyptian. That kid, can be just as, and I use Coptic like interchangeably of this, but however you want to frame it, like that kid is just as an important and an identifiable member of our community as the kid who's the same age of pure Egyptian blood in Egypt.
Yeah, well, we are on the same page, but my point is, if
Younger
you're
generation isn't.
if you are meeting someone who doesn't have the framework, like the mindset like you, are we willing to bridge this gap, or just all minds, uh day minus one?
Listen, I think I was hoping for us to get to like how do we bridge that gap. I think that's not a question for a 40-minute chat. I think that's a lifetime question. I think maybe we pick
Mhm.
up where we left off, next time of, how do you bridge that gap? But I think for today, in the interest of time, we've got like a minute and a half left. I'll say the definitions that we all have about us and them, I don't think they're contradictory, right? One is practical, one is ideological. All of them blur this cultural distinction of who's allowed to be in my group, right? And if you're going to be very rigid about it, I'm gonna say, listen, I'm sorry, I just like even if I'm one of the people that's allowed in your group because I happen to be of the right ethnicity, or I was baptized in the correct church, or I agree with you about, the Miaphysite debate. All of these things, I identify less with someone that I agree with and I'm homogenous with, and I identify more with someone that I disagree with, but we equally agree about the value of that diversity, right? Like you're different from me, and I like that you're different from me, and I wish that more people would give each other space like that to be different instead of like, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Out
So.
of Egypt, I called my son.
And he said, "No,
Yeah,
I'm
out
not
of
leaving.
Egypt to the land of immigration.
I'm not leaving Dunya. I
Out.
stay here. And even if I leave, I'm not leaving.
I'm bringing it with me.
I'm bringing it with me." All right, till next time. See you when we stash you something again.